What is going on YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I am bringing you the finals of the RMC locals that happened the other day on Friday. Now this can be between myself on the left playing WarGreymon Rush and then my opponent on the right playing LordKnightmon. Now this is the finals and it is pretty late at this time of us playing. It's a little bit past midnight. This was the first time that we've had a 5-round local at RMC since BT4, I think. We normally have the 4 rounds because the down pair normally loses, but this time we had the 5th round, so it is very late at this point, and you will see that very early that I will make a little bit of a mistake here. I have the Kari out now, which is obviously great versus LordKnightmon, and then as we're going to see here, my opponent's going to choose to Digiburst, and then they will swing, and then they get the draw off of the Koopymon here, and then this is where you're going to see the mistake that I made this match, and which is not tapping the Kari here, which is a bit unfortunate. And then at this point I hatch, and I was like, wait, I should have tapped my Kari, I'm so silly. So that was a bit of a mistake there, but like I said, this is at about 12, probably close to 12:30 in the morning, so it was a little bit late. But my opponent has a suspended WarGreymon now, which does give me some options to potentially try and get rid of this, but I just don't have the cards that I need. I don't have the Digivolution sources that I needed, or the Spiral Masquerade to get anything like that. So I just play these Starmons to put my opponent at 1 and get some more bodies on board, so that way I can bump up my Spiral Masquerades. We see my opponent's going to play the LordKnightmon here, which is pretty much exactly what I wanted, because now I get to just hard play the Salamon and then go into the Spiral to clear it off. The Gladiemon will come out here. My opponent is going to whiff off this Gladiemon here, so we do know that that there's no big checks in the security outside of maybe something like a Valderarm, but the Knightmon and the LordKnightmon not being in there means that there's a higher chance that if my WarGreymon swings in there that it will be able to survive, so it's pretty good knowledge. My opponent's going to hard play the Knightmon to pop the Pulse, which makes it so that they can threaten to go into a LordKnightmon next turn, and mostly I think they just wanted to get one of the rookies off board so I didn't have so much pressure. And at this point right now, I actually can't clear off the board with Spiral Masquerade. Both of them are just 1k DP out of the 3k multiplication, so as of right now I can't worry about that too much, but I can try and get some Digimon on board and start going wide if I wanted to Spiral, but I decided I'm just going to Spiral to give -9 here. This makes it so that my opponent isn't going to be able to go into LordKnightmon next turn, pretty much no matter, yeah, not even with the Blinding Ray. Now, I'm going to have to make a little bit weirder of a play here just because my hand has been filled so much with options. We're going to see that I go for the Blinding Ray here to put myself up to 4, trashing the Spiral, which is unfortunate. I'm not going to tap the Kari because I just wanted to make it so that I could play the Lucemon and put my opponent at 1. The Blinding Ray made it so I got the 9th and the 10th card in my trash, so that Lucemon only costed 5. Now, I only have 1 card left in hand, which is, I do believe, WarGreymon, and that's not something I'm going to be able to play out for most of the game here, so playing out the Lucemon is going to be my pretty much best play there, so that way I can go wide. Going as wide as possible is going to get me as many checks as possible. I know that this deck doesn't have any security triggers, so I don't have to worry about my board being cleared or anything. I just have to worry about trying to get as much board presence and checks in as possible. My opponent's showing me that they're not going to get up into LordKnightmon anytime soon, so I don't have to worry about that at all. I'm going to swing in with the Lucemon now, start getting some checks. My opponent's going to hit TK, and as you can see with the fist bump, pretty stoked about that, so obviously looking for that ultimate there. I'm going to tap the security. I'm not too worried about it just because my opponent is somebody that I do trust, and then right here I am going to just hard play the Bushi in hand, so that way I can keep going board. Don't want to play that WarGreymon yet. Playing Bushi is going to make it so that I go wide. My opponent only has 3 checks left, and I'm going to have 5 Digimon on board next turn, so even with their 1 block, I do have 4 checks. Now they're going to go for the Blinding Ray here, which is going to trash one of their security, which was very surprising to me. I didn't expect that, because now they're just going to go into the Slash to pop the Turimon, when they could have just Digivolved into the Turimon there, or Digivolved into the Slash there without playing the Blinding Ray, because now I do just have game. I know that there's not any security checks on the in the deck because it is my list, so it is going to go in. I'm just going to be able to swing, and so the Blinding Ray was a bit unnecessary for my opponent there. But as we saw, I was pretty far ahead on board, so even if they didn't do the Blinding Ray there, I still likely was going to win within the next couple turns just because of the amount of Digimon I had on board. They didn't have anything impactful. Slash is just not impactful enough. But getting into game 2, my opponent is going to go first, going to play out a couple Starmons, putting me at 3, which is going to give me pretty ample room to just start building up on board. I can play my own Starmons to pop a Starmons and then go Turymon, put my opponent at 1. So pretty good first turn for me, I believe, because I'm able to develop and get rid of my opponent's development. The Starmons is a card that you normally don't really want to play too much if you don't have any targets for it, but you do have to play it sometimes just to get things on board. Like we saw earlier, I did play a Starmons just for the ability to get go wide on board and make it so that my Spiral Masquerade was a bit stronger. But when you're not playing as many Spiral Masquerades as my deck is, maybe you want to consider doing something else. But if they didn't have any other cheaper cards besides the Starmons, then the Starmons is going to make more sense to put on board instead of just passing the turn, so that way you can Digivolve on top of it. But shout out to Joey's Finger, who just made a couple cameos right there. Don't really know what that was about, but there was Joey's Finger. So I'm going to play the Sirenmon here. I didn't get the WarGreymon out, and that's something that's going to be very important in this matchup, and so I wanted to make sure that no matter what, I was going to be able to get up into a WarGreymon, even if they decided to do something like WarGreymon into Slash, which would pop one of them, or even WarGreymon into a Starmons. But just going to pop the Sirenmon there, popping the one with the sources, although I don't believe there was any Harables under there. It doesn't really matter too much, but now I have the 3 memory. I can go into the Angelmon, which is going to give the security attack -2, and then Spiral. I could have Digivolved into the WarGreymon there, but I see no reason to. My opponent's going to go to 3 anyway, so putting them at 4 isn't that big of a deal. And now I just cleared their board. They're not going to be able to Valderarm now, which is what was really scary there. My opponent being able to Valderarm on top of that would clear either my WarGreymon or just clear off 2 of my other Digimon on board. But now I have the perfect opportunity to start going in. I'm going to be able to Blinding Ray, which is going to trash one of my security, and then I can Digivolve into the WarGreymon, swing and unsuspend, and get my 3rd security, and now the effect will activate because I have 3 or less security, so I can go into the Lucamon. And recovering back up over 3 security isn't that big deal to me because I'm not going to swing again this turn. I was thinking about it, but I don't want it to swing over next turn. I want to be able to have that unsuspended, so next turn if my opponent goes into LordKnightmon or something and they don't clear the WarGreymon, then I will have that on board. And now they're going to have to do something like a Valderarm or a Knightmon/Angemon to be able to clear it. So we can see the attack come out, the Knightmon come out, popping the Salamon, so I figured they either didn't have the Slash or they were just going to go into the Valderarm, but we see the unsuspend for the Digivolve, so the Valderarm is going to come out. Going to pop the WarGreymon, so I don't have that presence on board, but the thing is that I just have the Sirenmon, and so I can go straight into another one, which is something that my opponent probably didn't fully see because he was just like, oh, he's like, I forgot you can just go into another one. And so I'm going to give -6k to the Knightmon there, and then swing, and then the Starmons will give -1k thanks to its Pikmon. Swinging into another Starmons, I can swing once again, swing with the Lucamon, and then swing with the Pulsemon for games. Now, I feel this list has a very strong matchup versus LordKnightmon because in this 5-round event, I played all 4 LordKnightmon players that were at this event, plus a Rookie Rush player, and each game, the WarGreymon was very powerful. Just being able to swing over your opponent's LordKnightmon or their blockers and be able to just spam out rookies is super powerful. So WarGreymon had a very strong showing today, and pretty much all week that I did play this list. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue playing it, but it may show up here and there, so I hope you enjoyed this list while it was around. But with that being said, if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe because I will be having more Digimon content coming to you. And with that being said, I hope you have a great day. Peace out.